Ready for a deep dive? Let's jump into The Gorge, this new sci-fi horror flick on Apple TV+. It's got everyone talking.
It really does blend genres, doesn't it? Part of what makes it so interesting, I think.
Right, we've got the forbidden romance, the monster movie thrills, and that touch of apocalyptic tension. We've come to expect that from Scott Derrickson, Doctor Strange, Sinister. So you want the quick breakdown on this film? We got you.
Well, The Gorge takes that classic idea, love and conflict, but it puts it in this really unique, unsettling setting. Miles Teller is Levi, the hardened American sniper. Got some baggage, of course. Anya Taylor-Joy, she's Drasa, Lithuanian operative. Sharp as attack, and they're stationed on opposite sides of this mysterious gorge. Can't even talk to each other, but, well, they find a way.
Not exactly love letters and longing looks, though. Right.
No, not at all. They get creative. Chess moves through binoculars, drum patterns on their rifles. They even kind of guide each other's shots during target practice. Shows how resourceful they are and how much they want to break through that isolation.
That drumming thing, though, gotta think that ties into Miles Teller's musical background. Adds another layer to that connection. Almost like, I don't know, a language beyond words.
Exactly. It's deeper than words, primal. And it's Drasa who breaks the rules first, sets the tone for their whole relationship, defying the rules, defying the system that keeps them apart.
Okay, so this gorge, it's more than just a pretty backdrop. What's the deal with this place?
Ah, that's where things get creepy. Imagine this. World War II experiments gone wrong. Twisted plant-human hybrids, they call them hollow men, the Gorge. That's their containment zone. A Pandora's box, basically, sealed off from the rest of the world.
And naturally, there's a corporation involved. Always a corporation.
Oh yeah, Dark Lake. Shady organization, built a fortress around the whole gorge. They say they're protecting humanity, right? But there's something else going on. They're trying to make super soldiers, pushing the limits of ethics and science in a really disturbing way.
So is it a sanctuary or a prison, this gorge? And are Levi and Drasa part of the problem just by guarding it?
That's the moral dilemma. Are they keeping order, or are they just propping up this system built on secrets? It weighs on them, especially as they get closer and start to see the truth.
And it's Sigourney Weaver running this whole show. Kind of makes you think of her an alien, battling these terrifying creatures.
Yeah, it's got that authority, that ruthlessness, but it's all hidden behind corporate jargon and this supposed concern for humanity. You never really know what she's thinking or what she'll do.
Sounds like the movie really digs into that dark side of ambition. But what about Levi and Drasa? Does their love story offer any hope in all this?
Their love, it's like a light in the darkness. But defying the rules has consequences. They end up falling into the gorge, right into the danger zone.
Wow, talk about a fall. What happens then?
They're trapped, surrounded by those creatures, so they activate a protocol called Stray Dog. And this isn't just some ordinary procedure.
Hold on, stray dog. Sounds intense. What is it?
The nuclear option.
Whoa. So even containment has ethical lines, right? What are the implications of something like that?
That's the question the film makes us think about. How far will humanity go to protect itself, even if it means sacrificing everything in the blast zone?
And Levi and Drasa, they're right in the middle of it. I bet their escape isn't easy.
They've got a tiny window to get out before the whole place is gone. High stakes, to say the least. But even if they make it out alive, they're not out of the woods yet.
I'm hooked. So do they survive? Does their love survive the fallout, literally and figuratively?
Well, that's where the ending gets tricky. Levi gets out, but he's hurt, scarred. A month later, he meets Drasa in France. There's this beautiful moment, kind of bittersweet. They say this love poem they wrote together. She collapsed the night. It shows their bond, but it also leaves things uncertain.
Uncertain how?
We don't know how bad Levi's injuries are, physically and mentally. Can their love really work in a world that's been through this? And what about humanity itself when these kinds of extreme measures are considered necessary?
So it's a love story, but it's tragic too. And it makes us think about ambition and the things we try to control.
We're just scratching the surface here. We haven't even talked about how the film blends genres, what the critics are saying, and all the deeper symbolism.
Good point. But before we go any further with The Gorge, let's take a minute. Think about what we've learned. This gorge, it's more than just a place, right? What does it represent, especially for Levi and Drasa? And what about the bigger themes of the film? We'll dig into all that when we come back.
Back again, we were talking about the gorge as a symbol, not just a physical thing, but like emotional scars too. Hidden stuff. Levi's got his PTSD from the military. Drasa, she's got this mysterious past. And her dad, well, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's like their internal struggles are reflected in that place. Isolation, fear, the unknown. But it's also where they find comfort in each other. Weird, right? Like in this messed up place, they connect and start to heal.
Exactly. The film shows their trauma, no holding back. But it's the gorge, the place they both fear, that helps them face it together. They grow because of it.
It's the love story, right? That's the heart of this whole thing, and it feels so real. What do you think about how their relationship develops?
Teller and Taylor-Joy, amazing actors, both of them. They bring so much to these roles. You can feel the connection, the way they look at each other, that unspoken thing they have going on, even the jokes, the little moments of humor. It all feels genuine, earned.
They're both risk takers, too, always pushing boundaries, breaking the rules. Their whole relationship is built on that.
Totally. That rebellious spirit is what makes them so interesting to watch. It shows you how powerful love can be. Breaking down walls, defying authority, and finding hope where you wouldn't expect it.
And speaking of breaking boundaries, this movie blends genres like crazy. Sci-fi, horror, romance, action. You mentioned Annihilation in The Last of Us. What are the similarities?
The Gorge, just like Annihilation, taps into this fear of the unknown, cosmic horror, something ancient and huge, just out of sight. And the creatures in both movies, grotesque but kind of beautiful at the same time.
And like The Last of Us, it's this world on the edge. People making tough choices to survive.
Exactly. Both of them deal with survival and sacrifice in this post-apocalyptic setting. But The Gorge has that strong love story woven in. It's not just a side plot. It drives everything.
It's what gives the movie hope, even when everything is so bleak. That ending, though, left me feeling heartbroken but hopeful at the same time. What do you think about how it all wraps up?
It's open to interpretation. It asks, can love really conquer everything? Can it heal trauma and loss? Levi and Drasa reunite, but there are so many unanswered questions.
You said earlier some critics weren't happy with the ending. They wanted more closure. Do you agree? Or does the ambiguity make the movie stronger?
I get why some people might want a clear-cut ending, but I think it reflects real life. Healing isn't easy. There are no guarantees. Levi and Drasa, their future is uncertain, but they choose to face it together. That says a lot.
Yeah, it's not always about getting all the answers. Life and love are messy.
Right. That's what makes The Gorge so powerful. It doesn't shy away from complicated emotions, the reality of trauma, and it shows us that love can survive even the worst things.
It makes you think about your own values. What would you do in their shoes? Would you risk it all for love? Would you sacrifice innocent lives for security?
Those are tough questions. And the movie doesn't give us easy answers. It makes us think about morality, human nature, and even in darkness, there can be hope.
The movie starts a conversation. It makes us question things.
That's what good filmmaking does. It's not just entertainment. It's about engaging with big ideas and facing uncomfortable truths.
We talked about the gorge as a symbol, the actors, the themes. But we haven't talked about how the movie looks. The visuals are amazing. The gorge itself is beautiful and terrifying.
The cinematography is incredible. The way Derrickson frames those shots, you really feel the vastness and isolation. And the creatures, yeah, they're scary, but they're imaginative too. They grab your attention.
You said they're beautiful, but they're the result of horrible experiments. Do you think the movie is saying something about nature? Like, even darkness can create beauty.
Interesting point. I think it plays with that idea. Beauty can be in unexpected places. Even in horror and decay, maybe it's saying that even the most twisted creations can have something amazing about them.
It makes you think. And it shows how complex the film is. It's not just a monster movie, not just a love story. It's about human nature, love, destruction, and what we do when we face the unknown.
I agree. And that complexity is what makes it so good. It's a film that you can interpret in different ways. It stays with you.
Before we finish, let's go back to that trivia. Joss's chess skills, like in The Queen's Gambit. It's more than just an Easter egg, right?
For sure. It shows she's strategic, thinks ahead, not just in chess, but in how she handles Levi in that dangerous world.
Like chess is a metaphor for her whole life. Always calculating, planning, ahead of the game.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if their relationship was her plan all along. Is it real love? Or a game? The movie leaves us hanging.
Adds a whole other layer to their story. And then there's Levi's drumming, Miles Teller. He's a musician in real life. How does that play into his performance and the movie's impact? Yeah, it's like he's speaking to her through the drums, across the gorge. It's more than just a skill. It's like part of him, a way to connect, you know?
And they can't talk directly, so it becomes their language, their way to break the rules, express things they can't say out loud.
There's something poetic about that, don't you think?
Definitely. Like the rhythm of the drums, it's like their shared heartbeat, a connection in all that isolation and danger.
Speaking of iconic figures, we got to mention Sigourney Weaver. From Alien to this, she's always battling something.
She always plays these strong women, facing the unknown head on. Like she represents humanity's strength when things get really bad.
So we've got chess, drumming, a sci-fi legend, and these creatures. The gorge keeps you guessing.
It's ambitious, for sure. Pushing boundaries. Doesn't always get it right, maybe, but it always makes you think. And it looks amazing.
You said it has flaws. For people who haven't seen it, what are some of the criticisms?
The pacing is a little off sometimes, especially at the beginning. It takes a while to set everything up. And the ending, it hits hard, but some people say it feels rushed. Too ambiguous, maybe?
So it's a movie that makes you think, even if it doesn't give you all the answers.
Exactly. It doesn't spell everything out for you. It wants you to work for it, come to your own conclusions, and wrestle with the big questions.
And those questions stay with you. Love, sacrifice, ambition, and what happens when we try to control nature.
That's right. It makes you think about your own values. Would you have done what they did? Would you risk everything for love? Would you cross that line, sacrifice innocent life to keep everyone else safe?
No easy answers. And I think that's what makes this movie so good. It shows us that morality isn't black and white. People are complicated. And even when things are dark, there can still be hope.
The Gorge is a movie that sparks debate. It challenges you, reminds you of the power of film, how it can take us to different worlds and make us face ourselves. It's not perfect, but it's definitely worth watching.
If you haven't seen The Gorge yet, go check it out. It's a wild ride, makes you think, and ultimately it's a story about hope. And if you've already seen it, let's keep this conversation going. What stuck with you? What are you still thinking about?
It's a film that gets people talking, you know? It challenges you and reminds us that film can transport us, make us think about the things that matter. It's flawed, sure, but in a good way.
And on that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into The Gorge. Hope you learned something new, maybe see the film in a different light. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep searching for those stories that challenge, inspire, and stick with you.